Scandinavia, home to this. Some of the most awe-inspiring and humbling landscapes on the planet. But is it really the utopia every self-respecting motorcyclist craves? Well, luckily enough for me, there's only one way to find out. Well, welcome to Norway, and welcome to a 2,000-mile Scandinavian adventure. So this is the ride I've planned. I'm heading west from Oslo to the fjords, and then north to Bergen and on to Trondheim. Then I peel northeast across Norway and into Sweden and on through southern Lapland into Finland. Then it's a 600-mile blast down the middle of Finland to Journey's End in Helsinki. But even with this huge ride ahead of me, Oslo is a city that's difficult to leave. Oslo is really the tale of two cities. Firstly, you've got the old town that's beautiful, that's here, and then you've got the modernity that they're building of the new over there. Either way, Oslo is the biggest town that we are going to experience before we get to Helsinki, which is odd in itself, mainly because Oslo has a population of only 500,000. Basked in summer sun today, Oslo immediately encapsulates what I guess Norway is all about. Beautiful people stride out with purpose, and you get the feeling that how they look is probably much more important to them than where they're going. The bustle is played out in what seems to be an immaculate yet quite sanitised environment. The city has an all-pervading air of security, wealth and prosperity. As they say, it must be a great place to raise kids. My first impressions wandering around the centre of Oslo here, it reminds me of a quote by Hugh Cornwall, who was the lead vocalist of a legendary band called The Stranglers, and he said, "It's only the children of the wealthy who tend to be good looking." Well, looking around here, they're probably all millionaires. And beautiful people obviously need to frequent beautiful buildings. So not content with the array of the city's traditional architecture, Oslo is in the middle of a 30-year plan to redevelop all its waterfronts, and the focal point of this aspiration is the Opera House. An architect himself, Henning Nielsen, is my guide.
This is the new Opera of Oslo, opened about 4 years ago. And this is actually the first dedicated opera building we have in Norway, because our national opera is only about 50 years old.
It is a hugely bold statement, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a very strong sculptural statement. This is a very big project, and they wanted to make as much of it as possible into a public space. As you can see, almost the whole roof is open to the public 24 hours a day. It's used for concerts. We had Justin Bieber here a few weeks ago.
That's the one thing I don't understand. I mean, who would come to see Justin Bieber? Do you know what I mean? It concerns me that about society.
That is beyond me, I'm afraid.
So enough of this idle banter. Let's get this show on the road. So what am I going to ride this time? Well, how about a KTM Supermoto 990? That'll be rather nice, sir. The KTM 990 is surely the perfect all-rounder, just as happy on the freeway as it is through the twisties, and who knows, I might even do a bit of light off-roading. There's grunt aplenty, and even carving my way out of Oslo, I can feel how brilliantly it handles. The first thing you notice riding out of town is that the Norwegians hate seeing motorways, so at every opportunity they bury them underground. The second thing that's weird is you enter a tunnel in the centre of the city and come out in the middle of the countryside. It's like riding through a time zone. One thing I've learned, my first little trip out of Oslo, is that the gauge on the KTM is actually a temperature gauge, not a petrol gauge. I couldn't quite understand why I was getting more petrol as I was getting stuck in traffic, but there you go. Hey look, first 20 miles, man, when you get on a bike, you get a very good idea, I think, of what it's going to be like. And me and this KTM, I think, are going to fall in love. And I can't wait to get it into the twisties of the fjords. I'm heading 260 kilometres west to a town called Dalen. And even though the traffic is slightly heavier than expected, if this first glimpse of what's on offer here is right, this ride could be just fabulous. It's the first time I've sat down really and taken in the views. And as you look out over this mirror calm lake to the sort of pine-clad mountains behind, it really is a kind of sort of spiritually relaxing feeling. I'll tell you what though, one interesting point is that it's the same distance from Oslo to the northernmost point of Norway as it is from Oslo to Rome. A few miles down the road, the little village of Dalen beckons. As it's high summer here, there's no stress about getting to your destination in daylight, because it never gets dark. You know, I was really worried about whether we get a phone reception or not here in Dalen. Check that out. There's the mast. I think we've got a pretty good chance of doing so, eh? I've done a few rides in my time, I think, and for a start of a trip, that ride was magical. And why? Well, the scenery, the landscape, the roads, but also that bike, which is built to ride this kind of terrain. I can't wait to get back on and get going again. Another 2,000 miles of it. But before all that, I have an appointment with the owner of the quaint little Dalen bed and breakfast. Ollie is an ex-Dutch Special Forces soldier, but now he tracks a very different form of quarry. Now, Dalen is supposed to be one of the best places in Norway to see one of the most incredible indigenous animals here. And just over there is one of them. That is a moose. What an incredible animal. Under the guidance of Ollie, Dalen is one of the best places to see these quite incredible beasts. There are actually over 130,000 of them lurking in the Norwegian woods, but they are notoriously shy. What amazes me is they're so big, but they're so difficult to see.
I can tell you, if they are standing just behind two trees, you won't see them, because they have the color and they have such a good camouflage that you won't see them. A good adult one can be up to 500 kilogram.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Do they pose problems with traffic and all that kind of stuff?
It happens sometimes, especially when they are eating apples during the winter time from the apple trees. They get drunk and then they run over the street and then or just standing there, and then accident happens.
In Australia, I faced kangaroos and camels on the road. Now here in Norway, I've got to watch out for drunken mooses. This is the first time I've gone out at night to find a moose that actually has 4 legs. Next morning, it's a wrench to leave Dalen, but leave I must. Well, good morning from Dalen. God, those mooses last night were exceptional, weren't they? Hey, look, Dalen's a beautiful place, but we're going to head on. Now, we're going to do about 150 miles out of this fjord and on west, and it's supposedly some of the finest riding you can have in Norway. Riding southwest towards the west coast, tonight's stop is at a place called Lisaborten. But all that matters to me is the here and now. As I climb out of Dalen, the views are unsurpassed. And as for the riding, It's a compelling mixture of alpine switchbacks and short straight blasts through glorious rural villages. As I climb higher, the villages ebb away to leave some of the finest, unfettered mountain views you could possibly wish for. Well, this road from Darlin to Lisa-Boten is a peach, and it takes you up onto the top of this mountain range. Now, even now, in mid-July, there are pockets of snow up here on the mountains. But when they open the road in late May, early June, there are snow walls either side of the road. This ride is probably one of the best I've done. I don't think motorcycling can get more exciting. Sure enough, it does. As I ride along the top of the mountain pass, the road is now virtually straight, allowing me to relish the power of the KTM. As I ride higher above the tree line, either still peppers the landscape, but in the office it's about 25 degrees. It's all a surreal experience, an experience that immediately etches itself on my soul. Sitting up here, you can quite happily understand why the Norway, consistently the ultimate place to live. The other thing that this place really sums up is why motorcycling is so important to me. A bike and a car can bring you up to places like this, but a motorcycle does it so much better. Why? Well, it's all about pass. The landscape takes on another spectacular dimension. I don't know how high, but it's quite a few thousand, I guess. Even the moss has decided really not to grow. What's interesting though is all these little sort of pyramids of stones, which I guess people have erected over the years. Anyway, I thought I'd just build my own. I'll tell you something though, I do feel a little bit tired. We're all yawning a bit. Is that altitude sickness? I can't be tired of the landscape. But a few more miles down the road, any soporific feelings are put aside as the descent into Lisa-Boten is a myriad of challenging switchbacks that eventually flatten out into the beautiful valley below. Well, what a fabulous day in the mountains. Lots of fun, and what made it even better was a little bit of fear as well. Now, talking about fear, this town, Lisa-Boten, is a mecca for base jumping.